why don't you take a journey with us down to the beautiful town of Animal Crossing right now on Video Game Movie Anatomy.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Video Game Movie Anatomy.
Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to the Video Game Movie Anatomy covering Animal Crossing, the movie. This movie was so chill. But the score, like, we're listening to a little bit from what it was based off of, Wild World, and it's just that simple simple guitar. I absolutely love the world, and we're going to be talking all about it. Thank you for joining us. I'm one of your hosts, and it's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica. We are joined, as always, by the one and only Stacey Shuttleworth.
Hey guys, I'm Stacey Shuttleworth. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles or all over the web at Nerds Doing Stuff.
And you're not Patrick, that's Emma Fyffe.
I'm not. I am Emma Fyffe, but I can be found all over the internet at my name, Emma Fyffe.
So, today we're going to be talking about Animal Crossing, which is a movie that technically hasn't been released in America.
Did not know there was an Animal Crossing movie until Mark reached out to me and was like, hey, did you play Animal Crossing? Would you want to join us on this episode of Video Game Movie Anatomy? And I was like, there's an Animal Crossing movie?
Every single person for the past 2 weeks that is like, hey, yeah, so we're going to be watching the Animal Crossing movie. There's an Animal Crossing movie?
Yeah.
Everybody had the same reaction. Like, this franchise has either, like, subversively or very, very overtly affected the video game world in some way. Whether it's just if you main villager in Smash Brothers or you've been playing since the GameCube days. So there's something inherently just nice about the Animal Crossing series, and this is a very welcome change of pace from all of the violence and death and all sorts of terrible things that we've had to watch for this show. So Emma, since you are a special guest, I want to ask you, what is your history with the Animal Crossing franchise?
Oh boy, well, I played Animal Crossing when it first came out on GameCube, and you know, Animal Crossing is a game that plays out in real time. So, like, if you don't play the game for a couple of days, all your neighbors start yelling at you, being like, where have you been? Also, cockroaches, like, appear in your house, and it's terrible. So I, like, got very, very emotionally attached to Animal Crossing, and, like, sometimes you'd have to, like, get up in the middle of the night to, like, go to the secret meetups in the town square.
Yeah.
It was, like, a problem. And I got so consumed with writing letters to my neighbors.
Okay.
Because that was how you, like, made friends with people. But, like, literally, the game cannot interpret what you wrote. The fact that you sent a letter is good enough. Like, all you need to do is write, like, a nice sentence like, hi, how are you today? Sign it, send it, you're good. Because randomly the algorithm will decide that your neighbor doesn't understand what you wrote anyway, and they're like, dude, bro, what was that thing that you sent me? Because it was crazy.
And this is before the time of chat pads too, so you had to do every
individual character. And so I spent all my money on stationery, and, like, my house was full of gyroids, and, like, it just was like, okay, but then this is the problem is, so I gave up Animal Crossing for several iterations, and then my brother got me a Nintendo DS for Christmas, a 3DS in, I want to say, like, 2012 for Christmas. And he got me frickin' Animal Crossing New Leaf as one of the games with it. And he's like, I haven't played it, but, like, I heard it's really good. And I was
how
like,
dare you?
Oh, man, here we go again. And it was just as bad. Like, I started scheduling. And in that game, your neighbors will be like, so what time do you want to hang out? And so I would literally schedule to hang out with my neighbors and schedule the rest of my life around when I was supposed to hang out with my neighbors in Animal Crossing.
Well, isn't New Leaf the one where you're the mayor too?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's even more responsibility.
Oh, yeah, you have to, like, plan the town. I was, like, raising money to build a bridge, but, like, I was also spending, like, 80% of my time on this exotic island fishing, because you could make a lot of money from the fish that you caught at the exotic island. It was bad.
Because you do have to pay back the raccoon mob at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
At some point. So yeah, Animal Crossing was one of those games that I always saw and went, that'd be a lot of fun. I gave it a little bit of a shot with Wild World, and got only so far. And then when I found out, oh, it's randomized, there are all of these different people that you can get. It's not just the same town over and over again. I went, crap. And you have to go back and
start again.
And for me, I'm such a perfectionist where I was just like pulling weeds all the time. Even where I wouldn't even talk to Nook before I pulled all of the weeds in the town just because it looked, who lets their town go this bad, Tortimer, for goodness sakes?
I know.
But yeah, what is your history, Stacey?
So I know myself pretty well. I can't be the mayor of a town. I would.
So
I
you
would
skipped
do
New
nothing
Leaf.
else. No,
Bedlam.
I moved into Robbie's town.
Oh no
So
way!
I took his game when he kind of stopped playing it a little bit,
That
and so
is
I became
so
a villager in
funny.
his town. So I just run around. Although the first thing I did too was pull up all of the weeds that I saw.
See, it's
I
good.
know
It's
that's the
not-
problem.
It's not just
It's
me.
like
thing
the
I
weeds,
did.
the cockroaches show up and the weeds show up, and you're just running around your house stomping on cockroaches and just weeding the whole freaking town. Like,
Yeah, no, I definitely weeded the town for him. And I mean, then I spent an exorbitant amount of time going around the town picking up the color flowers I wanted to decorate my entire new backyard.
that's hysterical.
Absurd.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about this game is, despite having 3 completely different types of situations, we all picked the weeds. We all weeded the entire town, but there are all these different experiences that you can have. You can make the game your own. That's one of the things that makes it so fun and interesting, and you can design your own clothes as well or as poorly as you may think. But the movie... Let's get into the movie now. This is the story of a young, self-reliant girl called Ai, who one day moves into the animal village. One night, as she walked along the beach, she finds a message in a bottle. It sets her off on a quest of planting pine trees around the village to fulfill a miracle on the eve of the Winter Festival. That is way too much than what actually happens, because the Winter Festival is only about 10 minutes of the movie, and we never even know if she decides to plant the trees until about 5 minutes before.
yeah.
But,
there.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like they set her
weird.
up to have this like tree planting quest, and then we never saw her plant the trees.
No, it's just, the trees came in wonderfully.
I'm looking at her
What?
like, wait, did she plant the trees?
Yeah.
Or what? And we get this like brief flashback where she's planting these tiny perfect pine trees, and I'm like, oh, well, okay.
And also, they grew that large in like 3 months.
Amazing.
It's the magic of the Animal Crossing
It
village.
is.
I know, but that happens in Animal Town. Like,
Yeah.
for real, that's the thing that happens.
It's magical soil.
It is.
So that's one of the. We'll get a little bit more into plot in a second. I want to get to our speed runs, and that is a definitive statement, sort of like how Action Movie Anatomy has their theses. But for this, it's a little more simplified. It's like you have a box quote on the back of your video game that you pick up at your GameStop, Best Buy, what have you. For example, Mortal Kombat has a cheesy script, but it nails the spirit of the game. For Animal Crossing and all of these speedruns in general, tend not to be too speedy, but
Sorry.
let's do the best that we can.
Mine's pretty speedy this time.
I-
Patrick might be disappointed.
A little bit.
It's all right, a
Emma,
little
you're
bit.
our guest. Why don't we start with you?
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was supposed to do this speedrun thing.
Oh, that's fine.
So,
Make it up.
Okay.
I do it half the time anyway.
Okay. So it's Animal Crossing, super boring, nothing actually happens. Accurate depiction of the game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's gonna be fun going up against mine. Stacey, what do you have?
Spoiler alert, mine's longer than that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's speed run.
Alright, so Animal Crossing is super cutesy, feel good, and meandering jaunt. Unless, of course, you are required to spend an hour and a half dedicating your undivided attention to reading the subtitles, at which point it can grow dull pretty quickly.
Interesting. For me, I had Animal Crossing accomplishes what most on the show can't in creating a new story with familiar characters and elements lifted directly from the game. It is a mystery why it wasn't released in the United States or even officially subtitled, because it is the most loyal adaptation yet.
Oh yeah, no, it's a
absolutely agree
very
with that.
accurate. Okay, it's an accurate adaptation of the game, except that it does not accurately depict how often you will go fishing in Animal Crossing. Because you literally will spend your entire day fishing in Animal Crossing, because like fish can make you a lot of money.
Well, I think going back to Hopper constantly and seeing the boot, the bike, the whatever, I think I think one of the things about the movie is it shows many possible things that you will do like you do in the game.
Yes,
Pretty accurately.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
you
she
do get
did
that.
like you saw the one like penguin guy fishing, and then you saw her like writing letters to her mom. again, not an accurate depiction of how often you will write letters because you want to be besties with all of your neighbors and maybe like try to make one of them your boyfriend. I never did that, obviously.
Of course not.
Who was
Who
this?
would?
I'm trying to remember. I'm
Okay.
looking at a list of characters right now. I will let you know by the end of the show.
Who your
But
boyfriend was?
yeah.
Or I'm sorry, who your attempted boyfriend was.
My attempted
But it
boyfriend.
wasn't
Yeah,
creepy at all.
Animal Crossing doesn't really let you get past the just like sexual tension phase.
And, I mean, it is a game for all ages. Just like this movie is definitely a kids movie.
Yes, it is a kids' movie. And that from that point of view, like I think that they should dub it and have an official North American release because I do think that small children would like this movie. And it's not that I didn't like this movie. It's just that like it was such a kids movie and I watch so much programming that is technically for kids.
Oh,
that's
sure.
very deep and philosophical. And that's not what I want in an Animal Crossing movie anyway, but like still. I feel like an Animal Crossing movie that was directed at adults portraying the absurdity of all the things you will do in Animal Crossing would have been a lot more successful with me as an audience member.
Sure.
But at the same time, I appreciate maybe this game is for children and not for me.
And maybe that's also part of the reason why Nintendo decided never to release it in America.
Yeah.
Is like the American audiences are a little bit more used to something a little different.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably would have demanded more action. Even kids might have kind of been
Yeah,
like,
I think
well,
so.
Nothing's really happening, so I could see.
Yeah.
that
Yeah, but
being
it's
one of the
all about
barriers.
finding what your cherry pie is.
Cherry pie.
What is your
Talk to me
cherry
about the cherry
pie?
pie.
Well, I mean, that's another thing is we Americans associate cherry pie with that sweet song from the 80s that has a completely different connotation about it.
Something in that is
that notwithstanding.
notwithstanding.
Let's move on to what we call our controller toss moment, and that is or moments. Usually it's something ridiculous. Sometimes it might be fun. It might be cute. Who knows? But that's that moment when you're watching the film and you have "You've got to be kidding me," and you wing your controller across the room. I'll just give mine right off the bat,
All right.
and it's with this monster, and it's something that happens in the game too. But it's when he. I comes in, is like, oh, hey, yeah, no, I'm actually your new tenant. And he goes, oh, you should have said that before. And immediately puts her to work.
Yeah.
What a monster. This is a little 8-9-year-old girl.
The worst.
Tom Nook is a monster.
He really is. Though I have to say, I was disappointed with Tom Nook in this film. He was not as much of a jerk as he actually is.
Yeah.
Not an
He's-
accurate depiction.
Yeah, not an accurate depiction of how shady Tom Nook really is. Oh man, what was my moment where I like threw the controller? I think probably when that like UFO landed and it was a seagull. Like that was a seagull, you guys. That was not. That's not an alien. Like.
No, that was the thing. Is
Yeah.
he just wanted to make a huge entrance at the festival,
Yeah.
but he went, oh, real alien showed up instead.
Yeah.
So,
Loved him complaining.
Yeah.
that was Gulliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old Gulliver. But yeah, to me that was just like, really, and I like Gulliver's a fun character in the games, but yeah, I just was kind of like, oh, we're going especially right after like Mabel and the Porcupine sisters that make the clothes had that conversation with her where they're like, oh, you know, people are saying UFOs might be like a real thing, and then just,
Who knows?
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. What's one of yours, Stacey?
So I think the only one I really had was at the end in the little montage. I was like, all right, here it goes. They've been like subtly building to this the whole time. She's gonna actually bake a cherry pie.
Oh, I know.
She never bakes.
No, nobody ever bakes cherry pie.
And-
I thought of another one when the girl that designs the clothes. I'm totally blanking on her name.
Sally in the movies. Hold on, Margie. in the
Margie,
games.
yes, that's right. So when Margie like just leaves town and like just writes a letter to I and is like, I knew like if I said goodbye to you in person, I would cry, and I didn't want to like start my new life with tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
What?
Was kind of all about Margie up until that point. And
was
still am.
weird.
She's still my favorite character in the movie. But that was just like, come on. You can like that's an important part of like if you're trying to make this big lesson about life and growth, then goodbyes are a part of that.
Yeah.
Come on,
No,
that's a
we
bad
can't really
lesson
even
imparted
tackle that.
onto children.
I mean, I liked it from the point of view of, oh, you should forgive your friends for not always handling things the right way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
at the same time, it's like, no. You need to like face your friend and say goodbye. It's just a fact of life.
Because then it led to Apollo and Whitney meeting back up in the coffee bar, which that story I wanted to see so much more of. Like, oh wait, they were going out and now they're not. What's that?
Hold
Then you're
on.
crushing his blue roses, and he seems to be really mad about it.
Yeah.
And that resolution was, oh, you're still mad about that? Come on.
Yeah, I felt like that storyline was potentially super interesting, and it just like didn't go anywhere. And but also I loved when she first met Whitney, and Whitney was just like sitting on her like lounger outside of her house, and I brought her like the delivery from Tom Nook's, and she's like, great, can you leave it over on the porch? And she's like, you seem like you're a strong woman. I was like, where is this storyline going?
Yeah, that got real interesting for a hot second there.
Goodness. Another one of mine, but this is a positive one, was when they all show up at the festival and KK Slider's about to go live, and like, cool, we're gonna get like an awesome real version of some KK Slider music. Nope, sounds exactly like it does in the game. It's like, come on, that would have been sweet, but I totally understand.
I actually was thinking as I was watching this movie that I semi would have preferred if they had just given everybody the weird like voices that they have in the game and done subtitles, you know?
Really?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be accessible to children then, but no.
That definitely would have been dubbed.
Yeah.
Definitely. Or subtitled, excuse me. Yeah. Did you have another one? No? Okay, the last one that I had, which leads into our next little bit, was you, our other human character in the movie, trying to climb the Seismosaurus in the cave, losing the big pile of fossils that they were all about, that him and Alfonso were all about, and almost killing everybody in that cave. Instead of going to Blathers and being like, yo, we found this dinosaur fossil, you probably have the proper resources
No, you
to
climb up
extract
there and
it.
get
Yeah.
it yourself.
No, I know it was, and I mean the thing is too is I love that they like this is how little conflict there is in this film. Like basically this whole time he and Alfonso, you and Alfonso have been on this like quest where they're digging up fossils and they want the head of this fossil that Blathers, you know, really wants for his museum. Like he specifically mentioned it to and so they get the skull finally and then are like, hey, we got the skull. And I's like, oh, that's the thing that Blathers specifically said he wanted. And they went, okay, cool, let's go give it to him. Like, what did they want it for? That they were.
It was a different. They were finding different fossils.
Are you sure? I thought that they.
The Seismosaur was in one that was complete.
Right.
They were just finding the little small fossils like you find in the game.
Yeah, no, but there was the thing where they got the big skull in the cave.
I thought that was just a collection of barnacles, like they were all just attached like barnacles.
Oh, I thought it was I thought it was the skull of the thing. And
fan dubs, am I right?
Yeah, and they basically were like, yeah, we want to. Like literally, there was a conversation where I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what Blathers said he wanted," and they're like, "Let's go make his dream come true."
That's like, so nice, though.
I know, but it's like but like. Again, there's like literally no conflict. It's like, oh, this person wants this thing. Okay, we're gonna make that happen for them. This person wants to live their dreams. Cool, they're just gonna leave and do it. They're not limited by their resources or anything. You know what I mean?
Don't even have to cry saying goodbye.
Yeah. There you go. That was the main conflict.
Let's create some conflict right now. So because this was such a huge cast and it was all wonderful seiyuu, no English voices related, I just want to talk about the characters and who your favorite and least favorite characters were. Stacey, why don't we start with you? Who is you? Let's start with the negativity and with some positivity. Who's your least favorite character in the movie?
Mr. Rossetti.
Mr. Rossetti? Come on.
Yeah.
Dude, growing up, I feel so much more like him. Like his character resounds within me a little bit more than it used to.
All right.
But I know why so.
I just irritating every time he popped up.
All right.
Every time.
That's fair.
It just rubbed the wrong way every time.
Yeah. Emma, how about you?
I'm gonna get real controversial. I'm gonna go KK Slider, man. He contributed nothing to this film. He literally showed up and sang the same pixelated whatever the heck was going on with his song that we've heard in literally all the video games.
Didn't have a new release or anything.
No.
That's what he does.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing is if he somehow went out of his way to be terrible, I would agree with you. But he's just acting within his character.
But like people were making such a freaking like big deal out of him, especially like when Margie saw the concert and she's like, I felt like he was singing to just me. Like, again, it was a storyline that went nowhere.
Just grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Just throw it all at us, and
For me, it was
payoff.
you.
Really?
I did
Liked
not.
him.
I liked how it was like, oh, dressing up in all the different costumes.
Yeah.
But when he's digging potholes in the middle of town, first of all, Tortimer did nothing about that. Didn't go to prison or anything.
Yeah, Mayor Tortimer was kind of like blah in this movie for me too.
Funny old man character. It was a movie-long joke that ended up paying off when nobody remembered to vote for him, except for him. But you dug a hole. I falls into it and is clearly like
super
distraught
upset.
and upset. And he's just like, we got you.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
He
And it
was
was
real
and then and there were so many moments in this too that I really object to the phrase "boys will be boys," and that was used a lot in this film, and I dislike it from the point of view of like, no, boys need to be held accountable for their actions. However, in this film, it was so much being like, "Wow, they're morons!" Like that's really what they should be saying. Not "boys will be boys."
It's like, that boy ain't right.
Well, and again, like it's so much of it was about like the power of female friendship. Which, like, from that, like, I liked that.
Yeah.
I would have liked more of that. But yeah, I agree. He was so annoying.
He was a jerk.
Yeah.
And, especially with somebody in chat, Kichawi Nizuri pointed wanted to know if you can hit if anybody hit their neighbors with a bug catching net. And I went, yeah, totally. And just from the first encounter that we give them, it's like, oh, thank you for finding the spider. Here's a cockroach, or here's a beetle. And like, that's not. I don't care who you are. You don't just give people a beetle.
I mean, you can
unless
sell,
it's food to them.
Yeah, I mean, like you could sell that for money, which you need to pay off your mortgage. But again, that sense of responsibility was not instilled in this film.
Just give me the bells, man. Why don't you? Hey, do me a favor. Go sell this. Give me the bells, and I can give them to my mob boss, Tom Nook. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so I was not a big fan of, but Margie / Sally was definitely my favorite character in the movie.
She was great.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the coolest. She had all of the life lessons while maybe not acting.
She did, yeah.
While maybe not, she it was great that she gets a chance to pursue her dream. Never forget her friends. She's physically very strong, just pushing boulders out of the way, stabilizing the bike, shaking trees to get cherries out of. Again, no cherry pie, not going to hold that against her. But yeah, I absolutely loved her. She was so much fun.
Yeah.
And the design.
I liked Whitney, obviously, because she was like a cool, mature female. And I also liked that, like, she was the one that was sort of carrying that message of, you know, the bond between two women who are friends is really important and it's really special. And, like, no matter what terrible trials I and Margie go through, like, they will always come out of it on top. Like, that's like what being a true friend is. And basically, she was the one that sort of gave the lesson of, you know, it's when romantic relationships end, it's like very different. And so, like, it's more important kind of to treasure your friendships than your romantic relationships. You know what I mean? Like,
you'll always have your friends. You may not always have.
Right.
I mean, even. Yeah, never mind. That's gonna go a little bit too deep, but you always have friends, right, no matter what. How about you, Stacey?
Okay, so I have two. I really liked Champ the Monkey because always just a great time. But
Working out.
the third in their little trio, Bouquet.
Yeah.
She was adorable.
Rosie.
Rosie.
In American.
Yeah.
All right, Rosie.
The purple cat.
Yeah, that's right. She was just adorable and just so, like, optimistic and happy all the time. I think she had her moments.
Yeah, and she, to me, reminded me the most of, like, a really accurate depiction of your neighbor characters. Like, if you have ever played Animal Crossing, you will have this character. Even if it's not Rosie, it'll be another sort of variation on this character who is your perky cat neighbor. Like, you will have them, and they are a gossip, and they love fashion, but, like...
What brought you to this town anyway? Was it intrigue? Is it a lost lover? Or like, dude!
But, like, they have a good heart under all of it, and they'll be your, like, neighbor best friend. They really will.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun. But though, as great of a friend trio as they all seem to be, never clued her in on what the cherry pie thing was.
I know.
In a year.
No, just right over her head every time.
Again with the cherry pie.
I know. She was like the third wheel of that friendship.
It was kind of
Which
sad.
kind of bothered me.
It's like, wow, okay.
I'm just gonna rattle off some of the other characters featured in here, and if anybody wants to mention anything about them, we'll do that in no particular order. Alfonso, Pelly, Margie, Mayor Tortimer, Rosie, Tom Nook, you, who's a completely new character, Apollo, Blathers, Brewster, Celeste, Caesar, Cesar, Champ, Cyrano, Gulliver, Hopper, Cap'n, KK Slider, Mabel, Mr. Rossetti, Pascal, Pete, Phyllis, Red, Sable, Wendell, Whitney.
Again, as I already mentioned, Tom Nook, not an accurate depiction of Tom Nook. Tom Nook is much more of a slave driver and way more shady.
Though he did put his kids to work at the festival.
That is true.
Did see them in the background.
That is true. The little baby Nooks. And also, Phyllis was way too nice in this movie.
I mean, she only got like 2 lines.
I know, and I wanted there to be a scene where I went to the post office at night to the mayor's office and had to encounter Phyllis instead of Pelly, because Pelly's so like
perky and nice.
Yeah, exactly. And Phyllis is like,
Well, I will say, Phyllis's Seiyu in this made it seem like, oh, there's some RBF behind those eyes.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
totally.
I just like needed more like Phyllis action.
I really, as little as he was in it, I really like Blathers because his Seiyu is the same guy that voiced Usopp in One Piece.
Oh yeah.
And I just love the quality of that voice, and I think it fit him perfectly.
Yeah.
But it was, and there are also some other characters that appeared in the background, but they kind of stuck to the 8 or 9 villagers involved in the major storyline thing. Was another thing that they lifted directly from the game. So I do have to say I've said it already, but Nintendo really, I think they lost a lot of money by not putting anything out or not doing anything with the franchise.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, like it is something that obviously, like, you know, I played Animal Crossing, and even on GameCube, like I was already, I want to say, a teenager, like a young teenager by the time GameCube came out. So, and I know, like, I was playing Animal Crossing, but also, like, my tiny cousins loved Animal Crossing. So it's definitely one of those things that it would be like the Angry Birds movie, you know what I mean? Like, adults are like, really? And kids are like, yeah!
Yo, Angry Birds movie was pretty
Actually,
awesome,
that was
though.
great.
Yeah, we covered it on the show. It's on Netflix now.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
All right.
It's a fun time.
Pretty dang good. Going with no expectations, you come out and enjoying it. Not to say that it's a bad movie, but it is very enjoyable. So there wasn't really a plot that happened in the, like, it was just
Not a consistent one.
It was a slice of life sort of a thing where we got to catch up with Ai throughout the different seasons, see how she's progressing. Also, good on her for being so forward as to living on her own at 8 or 9 years old. Good for her.
Girl.
Yeah, I mean, that's an independent kid right there.
Like, I thought we were going to see something maybe with the family being like, no, we want like a little bit more involved, but it was like, oh no, Mom, everything's going great.
Have a great time.
Send me cherry pie recipes that I'll never use. So
upset about that.
okay, bye. Like, I thought when I saw all the promotional stuff for the movie, I thought that you was going to be like her brother in disguise and like just trying to keep an eye on her or something like that.
I thought
You're
so
adding all
too.
that conflict in there.
Yeah, but this is Animal Crossing.
Well,
There is no
especially-
conflict.
Especially because, like, she was the girl avatar, basically, and he was the boy avatar, basically, though neither of them actually looked like the avatar.
The
from
eyes
game
did a little bit.
Too much. Yeah, the eyes did, but other than that, like, they looked a little more definitely human than the avatars in the game do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought there was going to be some storyline with him, especially because, like, he kept appearing in disguise. But
Like, and
That's
the
his thing.
at the end when he like took off the thing, it's like, oh, I've never seen your full face before. I thought it was gonna, even though it was just like a small mustache or a small little thing. If they see his whole head, and go, wait a minute, I know you, and you're like, oh, that's so nice. But you're just another boy.
Yep.
What a jerk.
No payoff there.
Yeah.
It's fine.
When it comes to movies that we have generally favorable opinions of, it's always like, yeah, it was good.
Well, and again, as you say, there's not really too much plot in this movie. It's just like, here are some things you might do in Animal Crossing. But
it was an extended commercial for Animal Crossing.
it was, yeah. It was basically a long advertisement for Animal Crossing. It looked, I liked the animation. I thought the animation looked nice.
Super clean, bright,
Very
colorful.
pretty.
Yeah, it was very,
cute.
very reminiscent of the video games. Again, yeah, I think that I just, as an adult, would have enjoyed more of like a comical examination of the Animal Crossing world. Because when you really think about your actions in Animal Crossing, they're absurd. Because the goal is to pay off the mortgage on your house so that you can make your house bigger and you can get more furniture and have more rooms and decorate more. And so, like, but also sometimes playing Animal Crossing, I'd be like, why am I doing this? People don't, like, come over to my house. Like, why do I think I need all this...
You don't entertain.
Yeah, why do I need all this space at my house? I just need it for me to know.
You
Yeah.
can walk through your 6 floors
Yep,
and enjoy every
exactly. So, and I think for me, it was like, I felt like I would have liked a movie where it was more of like, oh, I gotta pick all these apples and plant more apple trees, and I gotta go to this other town because they have peaches in that town. So like, I gotta get a peach so I can start growing peach trees in my town, and the peaches are gonna be worth more money because they're rare here. You know, like there wasn't enough of the like ridiculous things in Animal Crossing that you do to make money for me in this film.
Like, even her going out and trying to find these pine trees that she was supposed to plant. Like,
Yeah.
something to kind of call back to that. And, I don't know, move
Yeah.
forward that
Well,
way.
what? Once she paid off her house, did she? It didn't seem like she kept working for Tom Nook because she would walk by the
Right.
store all the time. We would see her
She'd be
deliver
doing
less
it
and
herself.
less.
And on top of that, like, she's doing a real job in this movie, which is delivering stuff to people. The majority of the time in Animal Crossing, no joke, you are fishing.
Yeah.
So that people will buy fish for you to make bells to then immediately pay back to Tom Nook.
Bug catching.
Yep.
Like nothing too great, nothing too huge.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that we got small sort of payoffs in the credits where like you saw Nook's store completely upgraded and things of that nature. Hopper the penguin finally catching a fish, a small fish, but still a fish. I liked that sort of comedic device of going back to him and him just being consistently frustrated and not getting the fish that he wanted, but that reflects the game as well.
And I like that because that kind of was one of those comical callbacks too. So that was like right on the edge of it showing how absurd it was, but it didn't quite fully go there.
Yeah. I again, like, I appreciate that this was a kid's movie. And again, I didn't dislike it, but I just think that there's a funny story in Animal Crossing to tell when you like highlight the absurdity of the game.
I think if instead of a kid it was like a teen
Yeah.
of either gender, of any
Totally.
gender, just like what like from regular world that
Yes.
just falls and lands like Digimon style, like spinning
Oh my god,
into
I would totally watch
the Animal
that.
Crossing world.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If only Nintendo would have a little bit more fun with some of its franchises, a little bit
Yeah.
more of its licenses. I think that's pretty possible.
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like that's not really Nintendo style. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, I love Nintendo, but like saying that they take their products very seriously isn't really the right sort of description, but it kind of is. You know what I mean? It's like they don't really like, they're not rushing to like parody all their own stuff.
That's the thing is if they want to do it, they want to make sure that everything's represented the right way.
Yeah.
Like there's been a long rumored discussion that they're talking to Sony about a Super Mario Brothers animated movie, where I assume Charles Martinet would do the voice of every single character, Peach included.
definitely, yep.
But that's really the only thing in terms of additional media that we've heard about. There was the long rumored Legend of Zelda Netflix series, which I still want to be a thing. But yeah, I guess
Wait, Mark, you mean you are not satisfied with the Friday specials of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show that was The Legend of Zelda?
Excuse me, princess. No, I'm not.
It's funny. I liked that series a lot when I was a kid.
Wait, have you gone back and watched it since?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
all right, never
there
mind.
are still things I like about it.
It's just I couldn't take
Mostly,
Ganon's voice.
Mostly, I like that Zelda is the hero and Link is her dumb sidekick.
No, sure, definitely. Like it's weird how that sort of inspired the CDI games, which are garbage, but have like a better representation of Zelda than most of the proper Nintendo ones do.
Yeah, like basically up until the point that we got to like Ocarina of Time where she actually got to do something, you know?
Yeah. But we're not talking about that.
No, I know, sorry.
Or the Castlevania franchise that is going to be coming to Netflix later this year.
We will talk about
But,
that.
but we are going to talk about that. Dude, I'm so stoked about it. We're probably going to have it. We're more definitely going to have a show on AfterBuzz TV about it, and it's going to be the video game movie Anatomy Crew. And I guess if you want to call dibs now.
I do want to go.
All right, cool. We have our
so
4.
jazzed on this Castlevania series.
So let's talk a little bit about production development before we wrap up with some of our fun games. Apparently, due to the success of Animal Crossing Wild World, that's when Nintendo decided, you know what, maybe we should go a little bit above and beyond for this. It shipped over 3 million copies in Japan alone, and they just went for it. In October 2007, Nintendo of America did come out, though, and say that they had no plans to bring it to America, and now, 10 years later, they stuck to that.
It's not here.
Yeah.
Definitely don't have it.
This movie had a $40 million budget and only made about $16 million. One can understand another reason as to why they wouldn't localize it in any way, shape, or form. But even a sort of a re-release, you know, anything, there hasn't been that much of a release since then. IMDb has it as a 4.8 out of 10, and Rotten Tomatoes has a 73% audience score because it didn't come out in America, so there's no aggregate for it.
True.
But I do have a couple of reviews. One from Kotaku. Richard Eisenbeis says, when it comes down to it, I spent the vast majority of my time watching Animal Crossing being bored out of my mind. And when I wasn't bored, I was offended. Now, the offense part I don't understand.
That I don't get.
Yeah, I don't really understand that either. Did they watch a different translation than we did?
Maybe insulting the intelligence. Maybe.
Yeah, but maybe that's what it was. Maybe they were like, how dare they assume I'm this dumb? But like, it's for
I don't think
kids.
it ever talks down at you, though.
No.
I
mean, it was simple, but it never treated you like you were simple.
No.
So
Cherry pie.
Cherry pie. Maybe he just really hates cherry pie.
That's probably what it is.
It's just all the talk about cherry pie. He's like, nah, I'm done.
Richard's an Apple man. Lester Medina Lopez from CineScene.com says, I say we have a video game film adaptation that is totally faithful, which, being the type of game that it is, results in a nice and relaxing experience, but nothing more.
Yeah.
Nice and relaxing. I can agree with that. The music just kept me vibing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then KK happened. Now I know it was in Japanese.
in the road.
But was there any favorite lines that y'all had from the film?
Favorite lines from the film.
I mean, Whitney had one that was super cliched. I thought I had it written down and I don't. But when she was talking about female friendships.
Yeah, and when Whitney also, like, I wish I wrote down the exact quote of what she said when she like first had her encounter with I and was like, yeah, you seem like you're like a happening chick, you know what I mean? Like, basic, but like the way she said it, she said it in a way that made me think that there could have been a love story between I and Whitney, but just because Whitney was like attracted to I's like intelligence and like independent go-getter spirit, like that was what the sort of implication was.
It was a little suggestive.
Yeah, am I crazy?
Like, we have to stop for a minute and be like, hold on.
Well, it was
They gotta tone it down a little.
Oh, girl.
Whoa.
But which line about friendship?
Oh, when she was talking, I mean, it was totally a cliche line too, but just the whole, you know what, when you see each other again, you're gonna come back together like you were never apart and not a day had passed, and it was a sweet, like, little pick me up for her.
Yeah, anything that happened in that bar, like that was a wonderful. It was a coffee bar, but it was just a wonderful setting for the pigeonhole. It was nice.
I liked it.
Or
it
the
was,
pigeon roost.
The roost, yeah. No, I liked all the stuff that happened in that coffee house too, and it really felt like, you know, the bar where people were gathering to like tell their sorrows. Like that, I think the reason that I liked that was because like every time anybody was having any sort of emotional conflict, which was for the most part the only conflict we saw in this film, like that was where they went. So
and it was in the museum, which is like everybody hangs out at the museum. What a lovely town.
It's a cool place to be.
For me, mine, and this isn't deep or shallow at all. It's one of those two. People get sad when they're empty inside, so please keep yourself full of food.
Oh yes, that was so funny. Yeah, like sometimes I get really sad if I don't eat. And the way that I interpreted that in the letter to her mom was like,
so I'm just going to keep everybody full at all times.
All right.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Well, and another one that I really liked was when I and Marcy, right? Margie. Were first like becoming pals. So basically, like, I and Margie are hanging out, and Margie's talking about, this is where the cherry pie metaphor started, and I liked it when it started because she was like, well, what do you do when you like have a whole pie in front of you and you like know you really probably shouldn't eat all of it? And I's like, yeah, I tell myself, like, you don't need to eat this whole pie, and then I just do it anyway. And like,
related with someone.
yeah, like I like that they bonded over the fact that they're like, yeah, we know this might be terrible for us, but we just embrace life and live it, and we're gonna eat that whole pie.
Like, look, I would eat that whole pie. I'd feel bad about it afterwards, but still very happy.
In the moment, yeah, exactly.
It was a happy moment.
And how they couldn't how they couldn't let Rosie in on that is still a mystery to this day.
Yeah, I don't
Poor
know
third wheel kitty.
about that.
You know?
Yeah.
She was happy regardless.
She was. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't get her down. She had no woes.
Did any of the speaking idiosyncrasies get to anybody? Or was it more cute, like how everybody
No,
ended?
they were cutesy.
Yeah,
I
thought
thought
it
they
was
were
definitely
cute.
I know, me.
I liked them.
That when it came to Alfonso, I think maybe a couple times it was like, okay, maybe not every
I get it.
line, but cool. But then the one time where it didn't happen, I went, oh, where was it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was one of those things where they were sort of using the speaking idiosyncrasies to kind of mimic the weird like voices that you get in the game, which again, like, they're not, it's gibberish. It's not an actual language in the game.
Right.
So yeah, but now I'm like, you have to be able to read a lot to play Animal Crossing. So I think they really could have made like a film that just transcended borders, like where nobody spoke a real language. It's kind of like I wanted the Minion film to be. I wanted there to really just not be people in it, and
Yeah.
for it to all just be Minion gibberish, because like, think how beautiful that is. That like,
Well, that's the thing, is it plays to everybody because it's part French. There's a little bit of English in there. There's a little bit of Spanish in there, and it just sort of gets to the base of everybody, and you're still laughing at this nonsense.
Yeah.
And not to say that this movie is nonsense. But
No.
there's a little bit of nonsense in here. So instead of recasting this movie, because there was no English cast to recast, and there was also, and we're not going to make a live action like CG hybrid Smurfs.
No, they gotta wear
oh,
the
wow.
big, like,
They gotta wear
blocky
costumes.
costumes and
Or
just
just
kind of
giant
toddle
heads.
along. Yes. That's what I demand.
So for this, I posed a question to the entire team, including Patrick, who won't be able to answer for himself, but I still made him something anyway. Where if we would live in the town of Animal Crossing, what sort of an animal would we be, and what business would we run? I do have a couple of graphics prepared, and I would like to thank 24-Hour Call Center, who is Addison on Twitter. They made some wonderful art of all of us as Animal Crossing characters. So thank you. If you want your own Animal Crossing art, just follow 24-Hour Call Center, and Center is with a TRE because they're from Europe. So let's take a look at this. Let's start with Emma.
Yes.
Emma, what animal would you be, and what would you run?
Well, I am a house cat. It appears I have turned into an orange tabby, which I'm totally cool with. My job is, I'm basically the Ryan Seacrest of Animal Town. So I host every major program in Animal Town. I have a morning radio show. I host their equivalent of American Idol. I probably host their like version of The Bachelor. Like
Nice.
I'm
Perfect.
because if you guys don't know, Ryan Seacrest has 8,000 jobs. And so basically I'm that, but in Animal Town. So it's one of those things where it's like, you know, if it was in the game, you would like listen to my morning radio broadcast, and then like you would show up at the Roost for like a KK Slider show, and like I would also be hosting that show. And it's like, do you sleep or have a home? Like,
Interesting.
Yeah,
And bar
place,
trivia.
place.
yeah.
Because why not?
Why not, indeed.
Stacey, how about you?
All right, well, I would be an ocelot who reads a lot. So I'm definitely going to spend all my time in the bookstore and probably only speak in quotes from books.
I love that.
That's the thing.
People know you've got some stuff going on. It's only Shakespeare, like only Shakespeare
90%
and
of the
dramas.
time, let's be real. No. So I'm just gonna spend all my time in my little bookstore reading.
It's pretty dang adorable.
That's it. I mean, I'll
so
sell people on some books, but
next we have Patrick, who naturally I decided to make a bald eagle. because currently he's right now in Denver. He's a part of the Salt Lake Screaming Eagles. He helped develop this technology to vote for football plays. So I just said, yeah, he would be a part of a literal group of Screaming Eagles. In the Animal Crossing town.
Football team.
Yeah, not even a football team. Just Screaming Eagles.
Perfect.
And the last one for me, because I'm such a night owl, I would run a 24-hour arcade in town with all of your favorite games from current day and yesteryear. And I love the sort of dark glasses lines that I was given.
That's great.
So again, special thank you to 24 Hour Call Center on Twitter and who's currently in chat, Kachowi Missouri. Thank you, Addison. We really appreciate this art. They did an awesome job. If you want yours, contact them on Twitter. And now. And I'm going to redo our thumbnail to have our Animal Crossing characters on it.
Yay!
Yeah. So before we go, final thoughts on the Animal Crossing movie.
It was a movie. It existed. It was fine. It was Animal Crossing as a movie. Animal Crossing doesn't have a plot. The movie didn't really have one either.
I thought it was adorable. I mean, especially up until they kind of really got into the alien thing. The little slice of life bits.
Yeah,
that was great.
I agree. That was the thing. Was that was the best part? Was when they were just like living in this world, and when they did try to have a plot, it felt forced and weird.
I was like, all right, do we need to?
Yeah,
because it didn't. They could have kept going and showing their day-to-day life, and I would have loved every second of it.
Like all of that stuff could have been in a letter to her mom at the end of the movie, and it's like, oh, like if you showed the little bit of the festival. I mean, like if it had been something from the beginning, where it was like, I kind of like looking at the stars, and that evolved into like, oh, that makes sense. So that's why she's at the
observatory. She talked about cherry pies.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, she's gonna be a baker.
See, okay, no, and that was the problem that I think I had originally with this movie when she and not Sally, Margie were sitting there having a conversation about living out their dreams. I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna perfect a cherry pie recipe and open the bakery and be the town baker. And I sold myself on this plot that did not happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that similarly happened to me with Batman Arkham City. It was completely unrelated, but I had this like all these implications in my head that ended up not being the case whatsoever, and I really got thrown off the rest of the game and kind of didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
But I totally agree.
But, like, and that just ruined and I had read the plot about the pine trees and the visitor, like the surprise, and I was like, okay, but bakery.
Yeah.
And then it didn't happen, and I was just like, well, but why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my own fault.
I was a very cute character. You was not. If they kept the slice of life and had like little plot things here and there, I could probably watch this every week. I loved it enough to be like, you know what? I gotta pick up Animal Crossing again. This was nice. I like being in this world. No, that's the
Go
thing.
down that rabbit hole.
Well, luckily, I picked it up and it didn't work, so I returned it. And I was like, okay, good.
That was
crisis
fate.
averted.
But I will say, even though like I feel very sort of neutral about this film, I actually think this could be a really fun series. You know what I mean? Like it would be a good kid series of, you got this little girl, she's living in this town, and every week we have like a problem of the week to solve.
That
like,
you causes.
Something very low conflict.
Yes, very low conflict, very mundane. Like, you know, I don't know.
Regardless, this was fun. I don't think this was nearly as much of a waste of time as Red Faction Origins was. But last thing that we'll do before we go is, do you give the Animal Crossing series an extra life, meaning you want it to continue, or game over, that's it? We're not going to see it in movies anymore. Emma, let's start with you.
I mean, I think I even though I don't feel compelled to watch this movie again, I'd give it an extra life because I think that there's a good potential for series there.
Emma just answered.
I am
Stacey.
Emma.
Well, if they promise to not try to plot so much, then extra life. Carry on.
Yeah. Let's make that a 3 for 3 extra life for this 100%. I just the world made me feel so nice, but it might have been because I had just finished watching Mobile Suit Gundam Origins, and that was so dire.
Yeah, he
and then
really
it's like,
needed
you know
that.
what? I need bright colors and not murder and
Yeah,
death.
it's like a lot of murder and death and political intrigue.
Exactly.
You needed Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I needed a little bit of Animal Crossing in my life. And it was wonderful having my wife, who was sick in bed, come out and get tea and go, "What are you watching?" It was really fun. It's like, no, it's really cute. It's really cute. Just stop it. So before we go, the absolute last thing we're going to do is tease our next show, which is going to be in 2 weeks to celebrate the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. We're going to be covering Mass Effect Paragon Lost, so make sure to check that out. We'll be back in 2 weeks to review that. But until next time, Emma, what are you working on? Where can the folks find you?
Oh man, I'm working on so many things. I'm at Emma Fyffe on Twitter and Instagram. That is where you will mostly find me. Also, you can find me every Friday over on HyperRPG's Twitch channel. That is twitch.tv/HyperRPG. I am one of the cast members of a wonderful show there called Pencils and Parsecs. It is a Star Wars role-playing game. It is so much fun. We stream live at 9:00 p.m. on Friday nights. And yeah, it's a version of Edge of the Empire, which is a role-playing system by Fantasy Flights for Star Wars, and you guys should check it out because it's getting crazy.
I like the GIF that you posted of the smack from the bottom of the screen to the top of the
Oh
screen.
yeah, when
good.
Joe hit Hector because Hector named our episode "The Crate Escape."
Boo.
I mean, we physically hurled a crate at some stormtroopers, so
okay.
it made sense.
Made sense. Stacey, what are you up to right now?
All right, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stacey Shuttles. We are getting into convention season again, and we've got lots going on for there. I'm going to try to pull myself together for some cosplay stuff. See.
And I'm the internet's Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark Donica. Host another show on here on the Popcorn Talk called Jedi Alliance, which is all about Star Wars. Make sure to check it out. We're on Sundays. Follow Patrick at P to the D's. I'm also going to be covering a whole bunch of wrestling stuff. It's WrestleMania season, so we got about a month. Oh God, we got about a month, 4 weeks until we head down to Orlando to cover all of the biggest news. And then Celebration is going to be 2 weeks after that. I'm going to that too. So make sure you subscribe, leave comments down below, leave us comments on iTunes as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, head to our iTunes and leave us comments. But until then, follow all of us here at the Popcorn Talk on Twitter, and we will see you in the Animal Crossing Village.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.